Okay, it says we're streaming live now, so I'm just going to go by that. So Robert, give me the okay that we're good on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
You're online Instagram. You're online all three.
Awesome. This is the first ever on the Lillian McDermott radio show / classroom that we are live on all three. Thank you to Robert and Brooke who made this possible, and all the sponsors as well. And so what I need for you to know is that for wherever you're watching, if you have a question, please type in a Q, and that Q will alert us that there's a question, and I'll try to find you, okay? Wherever you're at, wherever you go. Don Miguel Ruiz, you get to serenade me today. I'll be right here waiting for you. So, okay. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, or you're looking forward to hearing about the Toltec tradition and how to use this tradition, this way of life to maneuver you through the difficult times while we're in lockdown, coronavirus, maybe there's somebody that's sick. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that's what we're going to be talking about. And we also have Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share, who is going to update us on what's happening in health share and in your world. So fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, everybody.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. I have all these beautiful musicians surrounding me today, playing the air piano and drums and all of that. It's an exciting day because today we get to broadcast live for the first time on Instagram. We've been broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. And so wonderful things are happening, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to have the freedom to speak freely on these platforms. And so if this is the first time that you are tuning in to the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these are difficult times. Many are suffering as a result of the coronavirus, whether you are unemployed or you have lost somebody you love, or maybe you're feeling sick right now, or anxious, or tired of just being locked down and feel that your rights are being taken away. And what a great day that I would have two beautiful men in the classroom, one to talk about our health freedoms and how Liberty Health Share is making an exception. They're out there, different than any other health share that is out there, helping us take our freedom back. And we also have Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., who's been a regular in the classroom since 2015, 2006. It's been such a long time. And every time he comes on, he serenades us. And it's so nice to hear how the Toltec way of life has helped so many to embrace what is. And how wonderful that these two men are here, because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm grateful that they are here to do just that. Welcome, gentlemen, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show / Classroom.
Hi, Lillian.
Thank you for having me, Lillian. I would have to say that I would like to inject that I am more ruddy than beautiful. So there you go.
Okay, well, I disagree. I think men can be beautiful too. There is a certain way, a certain mannerism, and I think both of you exude this. And so let's go ahead before we bring Don Miguel Miguel in the classroom. I want to start with you, Matt. Matt, you have been seeing the changes in healthcare for a long time with coronavirus. Let's talk about how Liberty Health Share is changing the way that gives us freedom to be able to go wherever we need to go to be healthy.
You know, it's interesting that you're bringing that up, primarily because what we have been seeing within the healthcare realm up to this point has been bureaucratic, and it's been costly, and it's been fraught with gatekeepers that aren't necessary. Mm-hmm. I think the hidden blessing, frankly, of the coronavirus and COVID-19 is that we have stripped back a lot of those bureaucracies and gatekeepers to try and get people the help that they need. And a lot of people are waking up and saying, why are these things here in the first place? If they are a hindrance in the worst of times, why would we deal with them in the best of times? And so we've actually had a lot of people come and look to Liberty Health Share, primarily because they see the inefficiencies within the third-party payment system, having those gatekeepers in place and not being able to choose where they want to go for their health care. So people actually who are being laid off, furloughed, who don't have their health care anymore, they look at things on the internet and other health programs that are vastly too expensive, almost cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
And they also can't get to the ones that they want to because it's not the open enrollment period. So they're looking at groups like Liberty Health Share as a way to take care of their healthcare dollars, because this is not necessarily an issue of if or when or might. It's an inevitability. There are things that we are dealing with today that were plagues in the past. So we have the novel coronavirus now. Unfortunately, it's going to be with us forever. And so at some point, we're going to need some healthcare help, and we're going to need a way to pay for it and take care of those things and be responsible people. So Liberty Health Shares here, all that to say, as a group of people who are sharing medical expenses together, we're still here. We're still doing what we've normally been doing. Haven't really had to make any vast changes because we've built this into the model, into the system. So Liberty Health Shares here in case anybody needs it, and we're glad to do so.
Well, that's, it's whatever you're saying is hard for people to grasp because we really truly have control of our healthcare. I'm not just, you guys are not just sponsors. I am a member of Liberty Health Share, and I'm excited to say that I looked at all the other health shares out there that are, avoiding this third party because it makes it affordable for me to have affordable healthcare. And so when I looked at everybody else that is a health share that has that title, they're primarily catastrophic care. Liberty Health Share is truly healthcare. I don't know if
saying that. I think that it goes a long way, frankly, Lillian, to say to your audience that not only do we have a sponsor relationship, but we have a member relationship that we go back and forth. And there's not a whole lot of people that can actually say that. And for you to put your trust in us speaks volumes about your decision to do so.
Absolutely.
So your endorsement of us as your sponsor is not just necessarily that type of relationship, but something that you've ponied up and you've actually said, no, I'm going to buy into this thing. This makes complete and total sense.
Well, it was difficult to walk away from insurance, traditional insurance. We were paying what? I would have paid out of pocket $500. That's how much it was going to cost me to be added to my husband's insurance when I didn't have the insurance that I had anymore. When I found Liberty Health Share, it went down to $250. And so, and I was able to go anywhere I wanted to. I love alternative and progressive medicine. So I was able to go to whoever I wanted to. And now it's, $300 a month, and out of pocket expenses is $1,000. And then you guys take care and share in my costs. It's amazing how this happens. And so share a little
But
bit about
you love alternative medicines. This is new information.
like you didn't know, but that's what
right.
drew me to you, because I was paying out of pocket, co-pays, and I was going to doctors I didn't want to go to. I was told, and open
Sure.
enrollment is all the time. And so with people
Yes.
finding themselves in the same situation I found myself, where I didn't have insurance anymore and had to go on my husband's insurance when he found it, I had nothing to lose. I was going to give it a try, maybe
Sure.
do it for a month or so until we could figure things out. And that was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, it is one of those things that I was glad to see, because the move towards alternative medicines and naturopathic medicines, um, really was a move by our members. It really was something that they said, no, no, we want to be a part of this and we want to share in it. We took a vote as an organization, an entire membership, and it passed. So it really, the way that you want to have your health was guided and directed and managed by the members. It wasn't managed and guided by by a third party system.
Yes.
Frankly, if you wanted to go to your insurer, your health insurer, you're not going to be able to do that. Even if you contact all of the people who are a part of your healthcare program, they're not going to make those changes, because they make their decisions based on actuarial principles and
Yeah.
numbers, and those decisions are made in an office somewhere far away where you don't have a say so.
Yes.
With Liberty Health Share, you absolutely, as a member, have a say so. We want to give that power back to you as individuals, because this is your healthcare, your body, because in the end, it's your life that we're dealing with here. And so we'd rather you make those decisions than us. So
Yes.
that's why we have set this system up the way it is. And I love the fact that we're in this situation where we have to re-examine how we take care of our healthcare costs, because it's
Yeah.
starting to drive the question and the conversation to a lot of people to really start thinking about things in a different way. So really glad to be a part of your program. Glad to be able to offer that as a alternative and naturopathic medicine. But frankly, Lillian, you did it, not us.
Well, you made it easy. And for those of you who would like to learn more about Liberty Health Share, just know that you can call them at 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 585-4237. Let me do that again. 855-585-4237. I should know that by heart.
You should
as
have a
often as
flashing
I call you
number
guys.
up here.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I need the graphics. I need the graphics underneath me. Or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. And for those of you who need to know that it's $1 million per incident, and a family, a single, for me, is $300. For a couple, it's $399. And for a family of 3 or more, it's $529. And the out-of-pocket expenses are minor compared to anything that I've seen out there. So Liberty Health Share, you guys have done an awesome, phenomenal job at taking care of the people who make choices like I have.
I'll take all that praise onto myself and just add it to things that I've accomplished today. So thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the people who are listening today?
Well, honestly, during this time, there's a lot of questions, lot of people not knowing what's going to happen in the future. And frankly, all I can say is this is a time where we need to pull together as much as possible. There's going to be all kinds of people with different ideas and different ways of coming together. The more grace, the more patience, the more love that we can extend to one another is the best way forward, because we're not going to get through this thing unless we're together, and that's the best policy moving forward from here. So just want to give a word of encouragement to everybody. Things look scary, but we can get through this. Let's stick together.
Thank you so much. Matt Bellis of Liberty Health Share. It's not insurance, it's assurance to know that you are going to be taken care of and that you have the backing of a wonderful organization. So thank you again, Matt. If you want to learn more about Liberty Health Share, you can go to you can call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. Flash that number in front, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. Thank you again, Matt, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Lillian. Great to see you.
And now we shift gears. We have Don Miguel Ruiz. He's frozen. Don Miguel. Oh, there you go. You're back. You're back. You had frozen on me a second there. I think all the kids are using the internet today, huh?
The house is packed with people. All four of us and the dogs.
All four of you. The dogs are on the computer too.
Quite savvy. Quite savvy.
So share a little bit. Thank you so much, Miguel, for being in the classroom today. Share a little bit about your background, because there's might be some people that have never heard of who hasn't heard about you? But maybe there's somebody that's watching today for the first time and learning about you. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, sure, Amal. My name is Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. I'm an author and lecturer. I've written books called The 5 Levels of Attachment, Living a Life of Awareness, The Mastery of Self, A Little Book of Wisdom, and The 7 Secrets of Happy, Healthy Relationships. These books are based on my family tradition, which is Toltec tradition, according to our family. The word Toltec is a Nahuatl word, which is Mesoamerican, which is from Mexico before the Spanish came in. And it means artist in English. The word Toltec means artist. If I translate the phrase, the Toltec art of transformation, into 100% English, it means the artist's path of the transformation. I'm an artist. My father is also a famous author. He wrote a book called The 4 Agreements, The Mastery of Love, The Voice of Knowledge, The Toltec Art of Life and Death, The 3 Questions, and The 5th Agreement with my brother, Don Jose Luis Ruiz. So we're a family that share our tradition. And it all started with my great-great-grandfather, Don Ezequiel Macias. And I say that because as far as living memory is, he's the first one to say that we're Toltec, and he was born in the 1880s. And I don't know his parents' names, but I know his story. And his son, Don Leonardo, and my grandmother, Sarita, but it was Grandma Sarita, my grandma, that decided to share the tradition outside the family for the very first time, because it was taboo to teach it outside the family. But she has this desire to share it. So she opened up a small little temple in San Diego, California, where she did faith healing and healings and gave consultations and lectures and presentations. So it is her that both my father and I follow. But my father, Don Miguel Ruiz, is the famous one. He's the one whose word has gone all around the world. And I'm very grateful to him and my grandmother, and here I am.
Yeah, I remember reading the 4 Agreements. Probably read it 2-3 times. And I remember when I had the opportunity to interview you, I was so excited because I know my father. I love my father. My father loves me. And I am a chip of my history, my DNA, my father, my mother. And I knew that you had your own transformation. You're not your father, but you have embraced the traditions. You have embraced the lifestyle. Was that difficult for you, or did you ever go away from it and then return to it?
Yes.
Did you explore? Okay, let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, it seems to be a tradition within the family to rebel against the tradition. My father rebelled against it. My grandmother rebelled against it. My great-grandfather, I'm not sure Don Cacique did, but I know that Don Leonardo became a soldier and a musician. My grandmother became a faith healer, and my father became a neurosurgeon. But we all came back to that tradition in our own. Paraphrase my grandmother. She said, if you practice the Toltec tradition the way I or your father practice it, you're killing the Toltec tradition. You have to practice it in your own way. For me, that meant that life becomes my teacher. Because yes, my father and my grandmother taught me all these things, but it was actually life teaching me when I applied it. We learn by the consequences of our actions. And a consequence is not a punishment. The consequence is the result of an action. And little by little, by trial and error, you figure it out. So in lecturing or giving presentation or writing my books, I always draw upon my experience. Like my father said, never talk about something you don't know. Only talk about what you do know. And if it resonates with people, you have a jewel to give that will help them help just the way it helped you. So for me, that was the key, to have the experience in my life. The fact that I even speak English, you can say I'm already speaking in a totally different language. But my father did a work that when he began to practice it, he let go of a lot of the superstition that surrounded the Toltec tradition in the family. And he put it into something he called common sense, a language that he was able to combine, being himself a medical doctor, a neurosurgeon, Western science with the Toltec tradition. And he combined the two because he was able to play in both. And I'm the result of that teaching because that's what I learned. The Four Agreements is the result of that. Where if you read the Four Agreements, the first chapter, the introduction is the story of the smoky mirror, and the rest of it is what is called common sense. So for me, coming up with my own voice is experiencing my own life, my own aha moments, my own moments of clarity, and making a choice to go in different directions each along the way. And then, of course, my children are my teachers. My wife is my teacher. People in my life that I've learned through many, many times. I've learned to be able to listen to them, apply what they've taught me. And from there, I get to share it. So for me, it's just my experience of life, where life is my teacher, and my success and my errors have shaped or molded that experience.
It's wonderful. Every time you come on, I learn something new. I learn, it's that peacefulness and that embrace of the lifestyle, the Toltec lifestyle, that is so intriguing to me. To be able to live life but not be of life, to be here but still be at a different realm where you're an observer almost. You're observing your life and you're making these changes from your own knowing. And so as you're making your own way, you went away, you came back into your yellow brick road. How has that helped you during these difficult times? Because I know that many of your books, are reflecting of those times, but this time, what would you say has helped you the most with the changes that have been imposed on us?
Well, I won't say it's imposed. It's something that happens. We're a first world nation, and nature will still win. In Florida, a hurricane will still win. Nature always finds a way. So it's whether it's imposed or not, that's something we create and something we perceive. But in reality, it's something that happens all the time. And 100 years ago, during the Spanish flu, a lot of people did not know how it happened. And before that, there were times where a lot of people died because people thought that it was witchcraft, or a lot of women died because they were accused of, bringing in bad omens and things like that. And thanks to science, we know of bacteria, of a virus. And this time we have a lot of awareness. We have the experience that we've seen the past. We've seen what the Spanish flu did. We know what the plague did. We know what the AIDS virus did. We've seen what cholera has done. We've seen all those things in the world. So from that point of view, history has taught us from our own experience. Something, for example, it's something that Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings, wrote. Frodo was talking to Gandalf, and Frodo was telling him, "I wish I didn't have to live in such times." And Gandalf replied, "So do I, and so do a lot of people who are living in such times. But the thing is that it's our time. We can't say anything about it. Like, what are we going to do about it?" And it's like people tell me who are parents, that today is the toughest time to be a parent. And I have to answer it. The reason why it's the toughest is because it's our turn to be a parent. You know, imagine being if I look at my own family, if I look at my parents had to raise me in the middle of the 1980s and 90s, and everything, the changes that brought, you know, the mass media and things like that. But then I think of my grandmother, and she had to raise 13 kids, and the youngest being my father, during the 1950s and the 1960s, and that cultural revolution that happens. And then I think about her father, my great grandfather, who had to raise her daughter in the middle of the Mexican Revolution. You know, she was born in 1910. So imagine living in a place where there was war, and they would tell me soldiers would try to come into town and try to kidnap women. So they had to hide my grandma because they wanted to kidnap her too. Imagine being parent of that situation. Imagine her father, Don Ezequio's time, raising a child during the Porfiriato, during the dictatorship. I imagine their parents. And the thing about Don Ezequio is that he's the first Mexican in the family because he was born in 1830. His parents were born during the New Spain, during the conquest, during the colonies. And they didn't consider themselves Mexican. They were subjects to the king. The whole concept of being a Mexican, like many of the nations we know, was invented as the concept of nationality was born. And sometime in the 1700s and 1800s, up to that point, people gave their allegiance to kingdoms. Each time, each generation, a parent has to figure out how to raise a child during those tragic times. You know, our ancestors, our grandparents, survived the Great Depression. You know, they had to go and raise a child during that time. Imagine living in Florida in the 1963 during the Cuban Missile Crisis and duck and cover, you know, things like that. So what's happening right now is just, it's our turn to experience these hardships. Even though we live in a first world country, nature will win. So we're figuring out how to adapt, how to see, like, imagine our governments and our leaders trying to figure out how to navigate these worlds, and knowing that if they do nothing, this is going to happen. You know, the Spanish influenza is going to do it again. We see the patterns, and that's what they're worried about, the second wave. Or they do too much, and now we see the pushback on that. It's trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, because yes, this virus has a 98% recovery rate. That's the thing about this virus, 98% with a 1 to 2% mortality rate. You can see that the difference. So you can see it, you know, of suppression, whatever, but you can see it as, all right, 98% of us will survive, but we're taking care of the 2%. And if you see it from that point of view, what we're doing, we're taking care of ourselves, and we're protecting those who are vulnerable, mostly the elderly, our grandparents. But the thing is, and the truth about it is that we don't know if we fall in the 98% or the 2%. We won't know until it happens to us, just like anything else. And that's the truth of any disease. So the thing about it at that point is that what we're facing is something that most of us, we don't have to face, which is our head-to-head fear, facing off with fear, with death, you know, facing our mortality. And I've witnessed my father face that mortality since his heart attack in 2002 and then his heart transplant in 2010. His immune system has been compromised for more than 10 years. So I've watched, for him, a simple cold can kill him. And he learns how to take care of himself, and he's gotten sick and he still works, you know. So from that point of view, he's taught us how to take care of each other, that don't let fear get in the way of living your life. But from that point of view, you have to be responsible in the way that how we take care of our community. So it's a balance. It's a balance of how to face our fear, how to face our responsibility, how we face being a community that takes care of one another, and understand will die. And there's also people who are going to struggle financially. There's a lot of people who are going to be impacted by not working, and that's also a reality. Like the conversation you just had with Matt, it's like at the very beginning, you're describing all these complex things, you know, that you have to think about, all the death and the insurance and all that kind of stuff. But It's something that happens every day. And the thing about it is that nowadays it's basically across the board that everyone has to think about it. You know, my family and I have been dealing with this for 10 years with my father's health. You know, there's a reason why he doesn't do book signings, because he can't be exposed to, you know, hugs. That's why he likes to still hug. He enjoys hugging, but he still takes care of himself. He has to wash the hands and things like that. So we get educated. So you can say that one is a combination of getting educated and understand what we're facing, to facing our own fear, facing our own mortality. You know, one day I will be dead. It could be tonight, it could be in a week, it could be in 73 years if I live to be as old as my great-great-grandfather, Don Ezekiel, who lived to be 116 years of age.
Wow.
And you can imagine what he saw in those 116 years of life. Of course, that's family legend. But from that point of view is that it's our turn. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do in these times that, yes, there's uncertainty. Yes, there's fear. Yes, there is death. There is both real fear and irrational fear. We're playing out anxiety of all the what ifs. And mind you, what anxiety is fed by asking the question, what if, and answering the worst case scenario. But remember that, you know, if our great grandparents survived the Great Depression, we can get through this too. You know, it just happens to be our time. We just got too comfortable in the comfortable, and now we've got to go through and stand up. What are we going to do? You know, if right now you're sitting at home and you're worried about work, all right, maybe this is the time to find out what are we going to do. I'm going to paraphrase someone I read. Find your side hustle, find your old passion, time to get educated in something else that it comes out. I remember a story during the Argentinian financial crisis, where all of a sudden their peso dropped. You know, it was on par with the US dollar, and overnight it dropped all the way down to almost zero. It just lost so much. So there was this author that had to figure out how to live again, because she gotten so comfortable getting royalties that she had to reinvent herself in order to survive. There was an actress that could no longer get a job, so she decided to create a troupe to entertain a community, a neighborhood, and they created this little art theater troupe. And they became so famous that when the crisis stabilized, they actually created something out of nothing. They became this very famous acting troupe that impacted Argentina for some time. And those kind of stories happen all around. So the question is, in these times of crisis, are we going to let fear, irrational fear, false evidence appearing real, subjugate us? Or are we going to face our fears? You know, yes, one day I'm going to die, but that day is not today. Like in the movie and the show Game of Thrones, what do you tell the angel of death? Not today. So that's the beautiful thing about standing up and taking care of one another. Yes, right now, most of us, like in my household, is the same. We're not working. We've battened down the hatches. We've already went through 2007, 2008. Me and my wife have remembered that. We know what we have to let go of and be able to detach from, like, all right, we're not going on that vacation. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to, be conservative in the sense of what is important, what is our priorities. For me right now, the priority is maintaining my children's health, mental health in a good place, helping them with the social distancing in this kind of time. For example, my daughter, who is 12, just discovered her passion. You know, she's always enjoyed art, but in these last few days, she's been practicing to the point where she showed me a work of art that she did, and it's quite phenomenal. Then all of a sudden, all right, we found her path. She enjoys this. She's enjoying it. Now we're going to support her. With my son, we're managing how to maneuver autism and staying at home. And luckily for us, we live in a place that we get winter. So we've already were practicing staying at home because it's winter time. And so we just see it as an extension of that time. But at the same time, I talked to my wife, and she has the anxiety of, all right, in a couple of months, what are we going to do if you can't work here, we can't work there? And I said, honey, don't worry, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And the way we figure it out and say is basically seeing what can we do at this very moment? What is it that I can engage in? So at that moment, I've seen people who go out there, and if their job is non-essential, they'll look for that essential job. All of a sudden, we find out that most of our careers is not essential. But if we want to work, what makes us an essential thing? And basically, what's an essential thing? Something that contributes to the community. So it's an opportunity. It's time. So what are we going to do with that? And at the same time, we're taking care of our neighbors. For example, I live my house is surrounded by a community where I'm surrounded by a lot of elderly people. And I am quite aware that, to put on a mask is basically to take care of them. For me, there's a good chance that I might fall in the 98%. But, if, like my grandma says, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. You never know. That's why I say you never know if that 98 or 2. But taking care of one another, that's what a community is, and engaging each other in that sense. Yes, there are things that right now we are missing, that we've gotten so comfortable in those everyday lives that makes us feel safe. But then you look at, all right, what is besides that, what really is keeping our sense of normalcy? And we looked at the grocery store is still open, the banks are still open, some of our other places are still open, and for some reason we don't have to worry about food because we have it at the moment. And I have to be so grateful to those people who, not just the doctors and the nurses who are doing incredible jobs, keeping and taking care of those people who are so sick that it's impacting them in that way, that they have to put ventilators in, that they're dying in front of them, and they don't know what they're doing. It's the first time they've ever experienced it. And for a doctor, having been raised in a family of doctors, I know this part about a doctor. It's their moment to be tested on what they know. Like I see my uncles, and they're galvanized. Like, it's our turn. Let's do this. It's this time where, like, it's no longer the normal pattern. It's something that they were trained for, and they get to practice it. And here they are. It's an interesting thing. Of course, there's going to be other people who weren't ready for that, and they're scared and they don't know what to do. But that's humanity. That's all of us. We, as parents, we have no idea what we're doing. We're playing it by ear. That's the thing that we parents don't tell our kids, or people who don't have kids. We don't know what we're doing, but we're doing the best with what we've got because it's our turn.
Yes. And you know what? They'll figure it out when it's their turn.
Yeah.
Everybody figures out when it's our turn.
Yeah.
And so as I'm listening to you talk about your training and what's prepared you for this moment, this time, whether it's as a parent or dealing with the coronavirus, dealing with your neighbors, I was picking up some attributes in what you were saying. Like the first attribute that I heard you say was acceptance. This
is a reality. It's our turn.
It's our turn. It's acceptance. And when there is acceptance, it's such a burden that is lifted once we say, okay, I accept this. I'm going to accept this, and I'm not going to just accept it kicking and screaming. I'm going to accept it as it's my turn. I love that. Then the next thing you said that I picked up on was you adapt. You've adapted everything that you've done. You've just adapted. And so then you have prioritized what's essential, what's not essential. What are we going to do? What if the worst case scenario, irrational fear, because we really don't know. Who is it? Seneca said it best, that we suffer more in our imaginations than we do in reality. So so I'm hearing those patterns, and then finding the beauty in what's happening. I heard you talk about all the beautiful things, being at home, spending time together. It's just, I'm just recapping what I heard were your key bullet items. I don't know if that's okay with you, but
no, that's perfect, because it's true. Because for me, like I was this past month and a half is the most time my wife and I have been together in a long time. It's and my kids, it's I often say to people, when you're by yourself, and then true status of a relationship with yourself. If you're
Mhm.
by yourself and you don't like being around yourself, then there's something to work on, because it's you know that relationship within yourself, there's some burdens. But if you're
Mhm.
by yourself and you feel completely comfortable, that you don't feel lonely, that you don't feel anxiety, or that you're perfectly at peace being by yourself, that's when you know that your relationship with yourself is perfect. So for
Mhm.
me, that's the telltale sign. So when it comes to other people, these are the times where we become aware, okay, what works, what doesn't work, what's engaging, what's triggering me, and it's our time to heal. And for me, uh, like I was saying earlier, my main job right now is being a father and husband, obviously, and that comes with, one, knowing how to take care of them. That's my joy. Two, how to take care of them right now, uh, paying attention to their mental health, how
Mhm.
they're feeling. My wife's anxiety, my children's cabin fever experience, and they're missing their friends. This is the time when the weather is good and school is fun and everyone, they're enjoying it. They're missing that. They feel like they're
Mhm.
missing something. um, they're
But
motivated.
isn't that feeling of missing out on something is the opposite of that acceptance when we feel like we're missing out versus,
Well, there's
um,
a difference. There's a difference between missing out and missing someone. Missing
oh,
out is feeling that the grass is greener and is better if this was happening, if that was happening, if this was happening.
and that's
That's
a comparison
missing
with
out.
an expectation
Yeah,
never
exactly.
leads to anything good. Okay.
Missing someone is that you feel like you miss that connection.
Yes.
And for example, my daughter was saying she misses the conversations with her friends.
Mm,
She misses the interaction with her teacher. She
mhm.
misses that sense of purpose that homework and grades bring. My son with autism, he had his first online Zoom. We're Zoom right now, multi classroom experience where all of his classmates were there, and he was so excited. He lit up when he saw all his friends. So in that situation with my son, it's not a grass is green or not missing out a thing. He's missing his friends. So
Mhm.
right there, right there, knowing the difference between missing out and missing is allows you to know your priorities. If you
Very
think
good.
you're missing out on life and things like that, then you're constantly living somewhere out there in the
Yeah.
future, in a different grass, in a different, not,
Anxiety.
not here present, not like
Yes.
as Yoda, like Yoda would tell Luke Skywalker, your mind is always in the future. Excitement, adventure. A Jedi doesn't seek such things. You need to be your present now. And that being present is accepting, this is my moment, this is my environment, this is the truth of where I live. Luckily for us, we have social media, we have this technology that allows us to, right now, for example, where you and I are talking from Nevada to Florida in
Mm.
instant time, and we're talking to many people who are listening and
All over the
engaging.
world.
So from
Mhm.
that point of view, that's the beautiful thing about technology, is that yes, we are isolated in our home, but if we take a step and engage, we're not. We can talk to our friends. We can talk. My old college friends added me to their text message group, and I'm so happy that I got added to it. They're there. My
You're
phone
moving
is,
on up.
yeah, yeah. My phone gets booming. It's blowing up, as they say. The youngsters say, and it's like everyone's talking, and it's nice. I have to hit the mute button because I have things to do. I have to help my son with his social distance learning, and then
Mhm.
also go for the run. So in those priorities, knowing what those priorities are and knowing the difference between missing out and missing people, you know where your heart is. And that's
Mhm.
the beautiful thing. You know where your heart is. You know where your love is. And that is beautiful.
Yes, yes. Another thing, and last but not least, that I extrapolated with what you said was gratitude. Above all, everything that you acceptance, adapting, prioritizing, finding the beauty, what the overarching um, attribute was a grateful heart, being grateful. And, when you were going down the list of when my parents raised us and their parents raised them, and these are some of the things that they had to face. It's a level of, okay, this is what we're facing today. It wasn't any easier for them. Just because we're doing it now doesn't mean that it is any easier for
Yeah,
anybody in the
exactly.
past.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we pay attention to our elders, if we listen to their experience, if we learn from history, we can learn from our previous mistakes. I'm gonna quote a Reza from Wu-Tang Clan from the documentary. He was quoting his mother, and I'm not sure if she's the original, but I like this. A smart person, a smart man, is someone who learns from his mistakes. A wise man is someone who learns from the mistake of others.
Mhm.
And right now we're in a time where we can learn from history's mistakes. And what I mean by history is just humanity's mistakes, but we can also learn from their success. And we apply what we've learned of our failures and our success, and we apply them. And now is the time to apply them. You think about it this way. After the Spanish influenza in the 1919, came the Roaring Twenties,
Mhm.
the boom of the Roaring Twenties. But be careful, because after the Roaring Twenties came the Great Depression, and then came World War II. So we have a moment where we can learn from our mistakes, look at what's happening. And the beautiful thing about seeing here within the United States is that you see 50 different states trying to figure out in their own unique way. And then we look internationally how they're looking. So we can learn from one another. We can see that mistakes. We can apply the success, and somewhere along the line, we will make it through. We just gotta let go of that irrational fear that blinds us, that keeps us from living life, and then choosing, all right, how can I contribute? How can I give to my family, to my community, to my friends, to humanity, to myself? And the balance between all of that is what will get us all through this.
I love it. I love it. You're listening and learning from Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. If you want to learn more, you can go to miguelruizjr.com. Last time he came in the classroom, he was so busy. I'm glad to see that you're using this time to grow and to just help and be the man that you are with your
I appreciate
children
it.
and
Thank you so
your
much.
wife. So I know that because you are being a daddy today, that you're going to need to go off to a little earlier. And any last minute words before you go?
We are the sum of every decision we've ever made, but at the same time, we are the youngest we will ever be. How do you want to live your life? And the beautiful thing about that question is that only you get to answer it. So enjoy your life. Yes, take care, take the precautions, be considerate of other people. Emily Post, she wrote the book about, I just blanked out on the name of the book. She talks about ethics or
It's okay. It's okay.
it's manners. Anyways, the key to manners, you can say, is being considerate of other people. So being considerate of etiquette. Emily Post, etiquette. The key to is being considerate of other people.
Well, thank you so much, Miguel. I'm looking forward to maybe you visiting us again. And when you come to Florida, let me know you're here. Okay.
Thank you, will do. Thank you so much for having your show. Thank you so much for all your sponsors. And
Yes.
hope you're having fun. Thank you so much for your production staff, and hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day and enjoy everything in life.
Thank you. Thank you, Miguel. That's Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. Comes from a long line of authors and very special men and women that embrace the Toltec tradition. And as he was talking about the sponsors, I want to share about my sponsors before we go. I want you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. please become a subscriber, like, share this information. We all need to be lifted up. And hopefully today is a day that we get to be lifted. When you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, please subscribe, because you never know when these rights are taken away from us. So I want to make sure that you join us at whenyouneedafriend.com. Also like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and let's continue to grow together. I want to go to my sponsors page, check out all my sponsors, and figure out a way you can support them like they're supporting the classroom. Again, please like us and share this information of hope that it's our turn. I love that, Miguel. I love that it is our turn. And how are we going to do this? Are we going to do it begrudgingly, or are we going to do it with gratitude, saying, okay, it's my turn now? So thank you so much, Miguel, for everything that you do. Again, MiguelRuizJr.com. That's where you can find him. And hopefully he'll be coming to a state near you pretty soon when we're all released from all this. And so thank you so much. And his books are Mastery of Self, also the Little Book of Wisdom, The 5 Levels of Attachment, and Living a Life of Awareness. And of course, we have the 7 Secrets of a Healthy Life. So thank you so much. And we're going to continue to grow together. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Look at you waving. So funny. I know you.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
All of his books are just phenomenal. I had to go quickly through saying goodbye, and but I want to make sure that you know that we have some incredible sponsors. Please check them out. I thank you so much for joining us. I know, Christina, you said your father was one of my favorite authors. Mine too. Mind blowing when I picked up the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personal. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And everything that he shared today, whether it was accept, adapt, make priorities, find the beauty, and in gratitude, all of those key traditions for the Toltec lifestyle, they all play into one another. And so again, that book, just, if you've seen this, if you've read the books that they've written, they're very uplifting. It's a way to say, it's time to think outside the box. Please share, like, follow us, and let's continue to grow together. And this is our first on Instagram. I hope that you guys can continue to tune in. YouTube, Facebook. We'll see you soon. Take care.